Hey guys, thanks for joining me for another video. In this one I want to talk all about how I made £47,000 whilst travelling Thailand with my friends and my girlfriend. So I left the UK and travelled to Bangkok on the 3rd of July and I flew back to the UK on the 11th of September. So I was travelling around Thailand. I also went to Bali for a little bit for about 2.5 months. During that time, I was just working from my laptop for about 2 hours a day max. And to be honest, there were a lot of weeks where I just did absolutely nothing and was just kind of taking in the scenery. But despite doing, a pretty minimal amount of work in that time, I've managed to make over £47,000. So I started my Amazon business 2 years ago when I was 19 years old. And in that time, I've sold over £2.2 million worth of products, and I've also netted myself about 300 grand in profit. Going away for this long was quite a big deal to me. This is the first time I'd ever left the country for this kind of long amount of time. Prior to that, the most I'd ever spent was, 3 weeks in Spain earlier this year. But it was a real test to see if I could actually run my business from abroad and just not really have to be in the UK to kind of do everything I needed to do. And it definitely was a success. I mean, I had literally my best months ever in terms of sales, as well as, to be honest, my whole life really, just enjoying the sights, going scuba diving, go-kart racing, running about on little peds all over these tropical islands. It was just absolutely amazing. I definitely want to head back there as soon as I can. But yeah, in general, it's just a major step in the right direction for my Amazon business. And I honestly do think it kind of changed my mindset on business and just life in general, really. And I'll kind of clarify on what I mean by that later in this video. So there are two kinds of people that I'm really making this video for. I think you should either be an active Amazon FBA seller who is currently looking to scale their business, maybe even looking to outsource a lot of it, such as the sourcing and the admin kind of side of it, and really looking to kind of target this at people that aim for just financial freedom and just, freedom of time and where they are at in the world, people that don't really want to just be in the UK, stuck behind a desk all their life. Or at least if you're not yet selling on Amazon, you should be someone that's interested in the idea of starting an online side hustle so that one day you could be just like me, working 1 to 2 hours a day from anywhere in the world with people doing most of the hard work for you. Meanwhile, you're just kind of sitting and collecting the checks. So yeah, without further ado, let's get into the video. So yeah, let's talk a bit about what Amazon FBA is. So Amazon FBA is one of the most popular online business models at the moment. Anyone can really do it. There's not too many barriers to entry other than just kind of your mindset and definitely needing a little bit of money to kind of get started and pay for stock and the like. You can kind of start as a side hustle and scale it into a full-time income, or or just jump in straight in like I did and just kind of have no other plan than just making Amazon work. But yeah, it's definitely possible to just kind of start it alongside your job, work on it a few hours a day, kind of get the basics in, and then gradually as you grow and you get more confident with what you're doing, kind of, continue to scale. And definitely part of scaling is just outsourcing the business. I mean, there's only so many hours in the day. I was gonna say there's 24 hours in a day, but realistically you're sleeping for half of them. You've got to eat, you've got to exercise, you've got to do some other things. So there's only so many hours you can really put into it yourself. But, just having a few team members to help you can really help increase the speed at which you can scale and accomplish things. So there's a few different ways to do Amazon FBA, but the business model that I use is Arbitrage. So Arbitrage is basically where you're buying from places like online retailers, you're using discount codes, cashback, anything like that to get the price as cheap as possible. And then you're just selling it back onto Amazon at full retail price. I do find it is just surprisingly easy. There's always promotions going on, especially this time of year. And there's so many events where you can kind of get products way under retail. And if you can aim for about 50% under what you're actually going to end up selling it for, so say you're trying to sell a product for £100, you kind of want to buy it around the £50, £60 mark, then there's profit to be made. Once you've actually purchased the product, you obviously get it sent to you. There's a process you kind of have to go through, so you have to add it to your inventory. Amazon will give you a barcode to put on all of the units of that particular product. You label them up, box them up. Most stuff can usually go in the same box, so you're not having to ship like loads and loads of different parcels to different places. It's kind of just usually just one big box for all of the stuff that you purchased. And then from there, you just ship it to Amazon's warehouse and they kind of take care of the rest. Obviously you've got to set the pricing on your product correctly and stuff like that, but for the most part, they ship the products to the customer, they deal with the customer service, they deal with any returns, anything like that, they deal with. So it's super hands off, and especially when you scale even further to like my sort of level, I don't even handle the first bit, so I just have it all sent to a warehouse. They just charge me by the unit. I pay like 50p per unit for them to just kind of sort all of that stuff. They send it into Amazon for me and label it up and everything. So 99% of the stuff I sell, I don't even see myself, and that's part of why it's so easy to just travel and do kind of whatever you want and have that freedom, because all of the on the ground stuff, like the physical side of the business, is just dealt with by other people. When it comes to the profits involved in Amazon FBA, ideally, you want to be aiming for at least 20 to 25% return on all of the products that you're buying. So, you know, say it's a £100 product, you want to be making at least like 20 to 25 pounds on that product. And you also want to buy enough units that you can sell through all of them in about 30 days. The aim of the game is to go wide and not deep. So you're buying as many different products as possible, not going too deep on any particular product. You know, emotion is not a factor. It's purely about the numbers and the analysis that you do with the software that you've got. And then you just buy about a month's worth of stock, move on to the next thing. And sure, every now and then you might make a bad call and you might make a loss on a product, but you know, that'll only be, you know, 2 to 3% of the stuff that you're buying, hopefully even less. And overall, you should be making a fairly consistent profit from all the different products that you're selling. So let me talk a little bit about how I outsourced aspects of my Amazon business as I scaled up my profits over the past 2 years. As that is the main reason that I've been able to travel the world, visit numerous continents in the past year, all while working less than, 2 hours per day. And, it's not like I've taken like a back seat where, my business is just kind of, doing all right. I'm doing record numbers, record profit, record revenue every single month. Almost every single month is better than the last, and that's all with fairly minimal effort. So most of the tasks that I've outsourced are just pretty low ROI, time consuming daily tasks that are important for a successful Amazon business, but can just be outsourced to someone else so that I can focus on, what really matters to me, enjoying life and enjoying the profits. So first, let's talk about prep. I would say that prep is the most important thing that you could outsource in your Amazon business. Obviously, once it makes sense for you, there's no point outsourcing prep from the beginning, but definitely as you start to scale and get more into it, it's the first thing you should be thinking about outsourcing. Prep is just what we call the act of, labeling all the units and sending it in a box to Amazon. But it just is so time consuming. And outsourcing it will just buy you back so much time, which you can then use to focus on higher ROI tasks like improving your sourcing, improving your deal analysis, and honestly just any other area of the business which just requires a bit of attention. Prep is just a super simple, repetitive task that you should definitely think about outsourcing. Thankfully, there's a thing called prep centers. Prep centers are basically third-party businesses that charge you by the unit. You send all of your stock there, you then usually update a Google Sheet, which is shared between you and the prep center. You enter in, where you're buying it from, the amount of units of each product that are expected, as well as the ASIN and the SKU, which is basically like the product information on Amazon for each of those items. There are loads and loads of prep centers that are out there. I definitely recommend looking into one called All Things Prep. There'll probably be a link down below in the description for their website. But yeah, having a prep center is such a lifesaver because, rather than having to pay for, employee salaries, monthly rent on a warehouse and all these things that are super costly, you just have to pay per unit. If you ship 0 units in a month, you'll basically be charged nothing. But if you ship 1,000 units or 10,000 units, however many things you want to be sending out, it will just scale with how much you're selling. And it's super easy to account for this cost when you're actually sourcing products. You can automatically set up most software to count that you're paying an extra 50p per item. And yeah, I for obvious reasons, I would not be able to run my business how I run it, without outsourcing prep. Otherwise, I would have to be on the ground day to day, spending probably 12 hours a day labeling all the products that I'm selling, and that's just not something I want to do. So another thing that you can outsource is the actual sourcing of these products that you sell yourself. So a lot of people have a thing called a VA, a virtual assistant. It's basically the term for just someone that's usually in a country like the Philippines. You pay them a fair Philippines wage, which is in the region of about £300 per month. And in return for that, they should spend 40 hours a week sourcing you profitable products. They'll then export these products to usually a Google Sheet or something like that. And then you'll be able to review them, make the purchase decisions, and just double check what they're actually finding. So you can usually hire a VA through an agency, so they'll come pre-trained. There's one called Outsource Central, which I'll drop a link to in the video description. I've hired all my staff through an agency, which is great because they know the basic knowledge, but the real stuff comes from using the secret sourcing techniques that I love so much. I've put all of my VAs through my mentee training program, and through that, they've just learned loads more ways of sourcing these products. So they've got like the foundation knowledge, but they also have these advanced techniques that I've taught them myself. And through that, they're just able to find a huge volume of deals. So I currently have 2 sourcing VAs myself, and last month they sourced a combined total of over £100,000 worth of products at cost price. I should be able to sell all of these for around a 20 to 25% gain on my money. So I'm hopefully looking to net about £20,000 to £25,000 in profit from those items. I also used to source a lot myself, you know, I spend hours and hours sourcing. Nowadays it's more of a struggle to actually have the money to buy everything they're sourcing. So, you know, it just saves me so much time. I mean, with each of them both spending about 40 hours a week, it's essentially saving me 80 hours every week where I could be looking for these products myself. And all for the price of, you know, less than £1,000 for their combined salary. It's just absolutely ridiculous value that you can get from a well-trained VA. I'm a pretty good boss, I'd say, so I also spend additional money just giving them bonuses. They have spend targets and I'll assess their performance at the end of each month. Obviously, whenever they've had a really good month and they're sourcing loads of products, I'll always give them a nice little bonus on top so they feel appreciated and kind of get a little bit of a share of the profit from the product that they're actually finding. I find bonus schemes to be absolutely essential. You know, that way you're just gonna have a VA that's super motivated because directly how much they work and how much stuff they find correlates to how much they get paid at the end of the month. So the third thing you should look into outsourcing is admin. So I've also hired an admin VA. So in total, I've got 3 staff members. So the tasks I have my admin VA doing include shipment reconciliation. So that's whenever stuff gets sent to Amazon, occasionally they just lose it and you have to chase up with them to get a reimbursement for, you know, whatever you've paid and usually a little bit extra for, you know, the inconvenience of them losing it. So I have her chasing up all those kind of lost shipments and lost items. I also have her doing the same for stuff that's inbound to the prep center. So anytime where a retailer might not have sent out the product that I've ordered, or maybe I've ordered 10 and they've only sent out 5 so far and some of them have got missing along the way, she'll sort that whole kind of process of contacting the retailer and getting a replacement or a refund. I also have her chasing up reimbursements for any heavily damaged returns, so any returns that come back to me in an unacceptable state. If you're in e-commerce yourself and you're watching this, I'm sure you've probably had a time where a customer has sent back an item that's just ridiculously damaged and definitely outside of the reasonable returns condition that you'd expect. So anytime that happens, I mean, off the top of my head, I remember like a used toothbrush coming back. It's probably the highlight of weird things I've had sent back. She'll obviously chase that up with Amazon seller support and just be like, look, you shouldn't really be accepting items like this. I'd like a reimbursement. And she's got a really good success rate for doing that through the methods that I've kind of taught her. She'll also review my aging inventory. So, you know, every now and then when I make a bad purchase, though I do aim for buying like a month worth of stock, if there's any stock that's been sitting for 4 or 5 months and I've not yet sold out of it, I'll get her to have a look into that item, see why it's not selling. Maybe she can drop the price a little bit and, you know, maybe just break even on the item to just get it gone so we can use that money to put into more stock in the future. Another thing I have her doing is chasing up suppliers for invoices. So, you know, when you're buying them from a lot of retailers that are kind of just B2C, so that's business to consumer, they don't by default just send you invoices for all the products that you're buying. So I have her chasing up all those invoices, collecting that all, so that, you know, if HMRC want to look through my business and, you know, for my tax return, I've always got a copy of all of my invoices for all the purchases that I'm making. As well as that, there's just a few other random small tasks like uploading the cost of goods to certain softwares, deleting out of stock SKUs from the inventory, so when we've sold out of a product, just deleting it from Amazon so we don't have to have it just sitting there when it's not going to get restocked, and just raising claims for any missing cashback that we might be owed. These are all fairly small tasks in itself, but when you've got to do all those different things, you find that it really does stack up in terms of time. You know, it must save me like hours and hours a week having this admin VA just working to do all this stuff on my behalf. And I would say it's probably one of the best things I've ever done for my business. I mean, it's just allowed me to travel and just do whatever I want and not have to worry about, oh, I've got to chase up some invoices or there's a missing item I've got to chase up. It's just a stress-free life. It's very nice. She'll just send me a monthly update of kind of everything that she's been up to. And it's just, you know, out of sight, out of mind. I don't have to worry about it. So my Amazon FBA business is currently making me about £20,000 in a month. Last month, I think we did £24,000 in profit, which was, I'm pretty sure that's our best month yet on record. About to go into Q4, so I'm aiming for just back-to-back 30k months, you know, fingers crossed it will be possible. But yeah, every single month, I just want to go through the tasks that I actually do focus on myself and I haven't yet outsourced yet. And to be honest, I don't plan on outsourcing because I think there's some stuff that you just still have to do yourself just to make sure it's done right. There's always that phrase of if you want something done right, do it yourself. And I definitely agree that in some cases, you know, that's just what you got to do. So I still do all the deal analysis and the purchasing myself. Though my VAs are trained to know how to spot a good and a bad deal, I always like to have the final say on whether or not I want to be putting my money into it, because at the end of the day, it is my money that I'm putting into it, and I want to be confident I'm going to get a return from what I'm buying. I have actually heard of other sellers before outsourcing this part, so they're essentially doing absolutely nothing, and the VAs are just kind of running the entire business. and it's not actually worked out too well for them, because, you know, the VAs could purchase things that they might not agree would have been profitable. And yeah, just in general, I think you have to have a little bit of oversight as to how your thing's running. And as well as just, you know, the deal analysis and purchasing, I just kind of have a general oversight of the operations. I'm just checking in with my staff every day, making sure they're staying on task, making sure they're working the hours they're supposed to, and making sure that they're just, you know, showing up for work every day. You know, especially when you're running a team that are all living on the other side of the globe and, you know, you can't really meet face to face. I definitely think communication is super important. It's good to just be checking in with them every day, seeing if there's anything you can assist them with, and just making sure they're happy. So yeah, before I talk about my traveling experience over the last few months, I just want to go over how I actually managed to afford everything that I did. Because obviously, you know, flying to the other side of the world, staying in 5-star hotels for, you know, 2.5 months straight is not a cheap thing to do. But I think you'd be pretty surprised to know that I actually didn't really spend that much money at all. You know, my whole ethos with how I run my Amazon FBA business is just to keep as much money in the company as possible, spend it all on stock, and just, you know, don't go crazy buying stuff you don't need. But thankfully, the kind of lifestyle that I live is completely covered for free by all the companies that I work with when I'm buying all these products. So first of all is American Express. So you're probably familiar with them. Credit card company. You can put absolutely every expense through the business through your Amex card. You know, because you're just buying from online retailers through their websites, there's no like bank transfers involved. So pretty much everything you could do, I pay for through PayPal, and through that I've got my Amex card attached. Now the main advantage of Amex, you know, aside from just it being a credit card and giving you a bit of a credit limit, is the Amex points that you get. So for each pound you spend, you get 1 Amex point. And, you know, depending on how you redeem it, an Amex point by itself is only usually worth like a penny or something like that. But when you're, you know, in my position where you're spending hundreds of thousands of pounds a month, you know, in a month I usually rack up about 150,000 Amex points. It is just incredibly affordable to use those points to just travel all over the world and stay in places for free, just using those points alone. So my go-to is usually transferring these points over to Hilton. So you get 2 Hilton points for every 1 Amex point that you transfer. So if you transfer over 100,000 Amex points, you get 200,000 Hilton points. In Thailand, I found that you could book hotels for as little as just 10,000 Hilton points per night, or about 5,000 Amex points. Obviously, the nicer places I was staying at were definitely more in the region of like 40, 50, up to I think the most I ever paid was in Samui, where I think it was 95,000 Hilton points a night, or, you know, half that in Amex. You know, definitely if you wanted to be more on a budget and go to slightly less extravagant places, you could have made the points last a lot longer than I did. But, you know, I'd never been to the Waldorf or Conrad hotels, like all these super fancy places you hear about in rap lyrics and shit. And I just obviously wanted to see them, you know, get a taste of the high life. I'd never stayed anywhere like that before. I'd always been a Travelodge man when I'm in the UK. Just kind of live as cheap as possible. But yeah, it's definitely this whole business has unlocked like a whole new world for me. Now, Amex points are the main benefit. I mean, I'm getting them on literally every single purchase I make. But also, there's another way to get kind of rewarded based on how much you're spending. And that's with a Chrome extension called Top Cashback. Top Cashback essentially kind of promotes different sites and tracks where you're purchasing, and then it'll give you a percentage back based on what you spend. Now this percentage could be as low as just, you know, 1% back on your purchases, but I've also had it as high as 15 to 20% back. So, you know, I'm spending £100 on stock that is already going to make me a good amount of money. And as a complete bonus to that, I'm also getting back maybe like 10% on that order. So I'm getting back a tenner for every £100 I spend. And this cashback can just be withdrawn straight to my bank account, or I can even cash it out to gift cards and get a bit of a bonus. For instance, if you wanted it paid in like Airbnb gift cards, I think you get a 5% bonus. So yeah, I'd basically cover all of the hotels using the Amex points I was making. And then for just daily expenses of, you know, food, travel, stuff like that, I'd cover the rest with the Top Cashback. So those two sources combined for all these rewards just mean that I basically spent barely any money whilst I was out there. And, you know, I mean, to be honest, I was staying at places that I think most people would only dream of ever going once in their life, maybe. Just casually, you know, I just hop from one to the other, bump into all sorts of people being like, oh, you on your honeymoon, you get married or something like that. And yeah, I was just there for the fun of it, really. So my traveling experience in general was just absolutely amazing. So for the first month or so, I was with my girlfriend. It was just me and her just traveling about, staying in all these beautiful, beautiful holiday destinations. Started off in Bangkok, so we went straight to the Waldorf Historia in Bangkok. It's a 5-star hotel. There's a swimming pool on the roof. It was just incredible. It's probably my favourite hotel that I stayed at, maybe second favourite, because, you know, we got a taxi from the airport to the hotel, And before you even get in the building, the kind of 5-star experience starts. So they're, you know, running up to the car, opening the doors for us, taking all our bags, you know, serving us drinks in the reception whilst we're checking in. And then they took us to our room, showed us all these weird features like, you know, electronic blinds and fancy TV in the bathroom and, you know, stuff like that in the hotel room. And yeah, it was just super, super relaxing. I mean, I was a little bit jet lagged when I got there, but pretty soon all that tiredness just went away as just kind of the luxury begun. So after that, I went to Koh Samui. I stayed at the Conrad Hotel there. This was the most expensive place that I went in terms of points. It was 95,000 points a night. I think to get a room in cash, it was about £700 per night. And we had a villa all to ourselves, a private infinity pool, huge bathroom, huge double bed. It was just phenomenal, to be honest, absolutely beautiful. After that, we headed to Phuket, stayed in the Hilton there, where we went scuba diving and just saw, you know, a whole other side to Thailand versus like Bangkok, because it's very, very different versus, you know, the city versus these tropical islands that are just kind of paradise and definitely everything you'd want to aim for in a holiday. After that, we travelled around Phi Phi Island and Koh Lanta for a little bit. There was no Hiltons there, unfortunately, so we just had to book regular hotels, but it was still really nice. Koh Lanta, for example, we had a swimming pool directly as you walk out on the kind of patio bit of the balcony. It really was just paradise. I mean, it was a little bit quiet that time of year because it was kind of low season, but yeah, super beautiful. After Koh Lanta, I headed to Bali for 5 days. Partly visa reason motivated. I needed to kind of hop the country for a little bit and come back, so I got a little bit longer to stay in Thailand. But yeah, stayed at the Hilton Hotel in Bali. It was just a beautiful, beautiful resort. There was massive pool, amazing beach. I went camel riding, I went parasailing, got dragged on the back of a speedboat holding onto a little inflatable banana. I did so many fun activities. It was just, yeah, it's super brilliant. And I think throughout the whole of that week in Bali, I pretty much spent about an hour buying stuff when Costco did a really, really good sale on a load of electronics. But apart from that, you know, didn't even really turn on my laptop. So after Bali, I went back to Bangkok. My girlfriend went back to the UK and I met up with my friend Ellis. I was with him, just me and him, for about a week, just kind of catching up on things and letting my body recover from about a month's worth of partying. And then my friend Harry came out from the UK and it was just us three in Bangkok for a few days before we went to Pattaya for 10 days, where we stayed in just the most insane hotel ever. It was stupidly cheap, which is why I booked it. It was just 35,000 points per night. So it took me about a month's worth of spending to get 10 days in this hotel. But yeah, it was phenomenal. It was, you know, there was a pool in the room and Pattaya was just an experience in itself. I mean, if you know anything about Pattaya, I'm sure you can only imagine the things that went on when I was there with my friends. But yeah, I went on a boat trip, went around all these islands. There was like a little slide on the boat as well. Went snorkeling. Then on another day, we went scuba diving, so we were like deep underwater. I've done scuba diving a bunch of times, but my friends, it was their first time, so yeah, it was super interesting. After Pattaya, we went to Samui for a bit, and then after a few days there, we headed to Koh Tao, which was probably the most beautiful island that I went to. It's super remote, even for Thailand. It was like a 2.5 hour boat trip from Samui. But yeah, from there, I was, you know, scuba diving with sharks, snorkeling, climbing mountains, racing around on a little ped. It was just super fun. I absolutely loved it. It was, yeah, really upsetting, to be honest, that this was the last place I was going. It was on my mind the whole time. I was just like, fuck, a few days time, I'm gonna head back to England. But yeah, I mean, being back in England, it's not as bad as I kind of made it out to be in my head. It's pretty good. You know, there's some things in England that I definitely miss, but yeah, as I said earlier, definitely as soon as I can, I'll be heading back out to Thailand because it's just paradise. And if you've not been, if you love tropical beaches, cheap but lovely hotels, amazing people, and just relaxing, really, definitely head out there. You got to see it. I had a few friends before I went to Thailand that went for like a month or two, came back and just wouldn't shut up about how good Thailand is. And I completely understand it now, because I think I'm probably going to be the same. But yeah, it was just life-changing for me, to be honest, to head out there for so long and see such a different side of life to what I'm used to. Because prior to this, though I've been, you know, pretty crazy with the holidays this year, been to America and Spain and all these other places for quite a while. I think in total, when I came back from Thailand, I spent about 40% of that whole year abroad. But prior to that, I mean, I'd be living pretty low expense-wise. You know, just trying to spend as little money as possible, sacrificing everything I could to just put money into the business and make more money with that money. And I think it's, you know, it kind of felt like the past, 5 to 10 years of just grinding had kind of finally been worth it. I just for so long have just been going absolutely all out on whatever business I've been involved in. And yeah, it was nice to just kind of sit back and have a few months of not really doing much and just kind of enjoying life. And I think it's definitely made me shift my priorities from, just pure numbers and material to possessions to just experiences and just living life in a tropical country, soaking up the sun with just fairly little commitment. So yeah, my mindset around, business and money and life in general has definitely changed quite a lot in the last few months. I mean, I suppose it would be difficult for it not to have changed, when I'm just living the life on tropical islands, staying in like super nice hotels with my friends, and at any given moment I can check my phone and I've probably made £1,000 for the day without really doing any work at all. I think my objective for a while was purely just to make a lot of money and worry about what to do with it later. But I think it's definitely shifted from making money being the sole objective to the objective now is to just live a more balanced lifestyle where I've got the freedom to just live wherever I want to be and live the lifestyle and have the experiences that I want. So, being free to just go and scuba dive or jet ski about on any given day just because I'm feeling like it. And I think really that is the financial freedom that everyone should really be chasing, rather than just pure numbers. It's got to result in a change of lifestyle because, otherwise just living the same sort of life and the numbers just on a screen and they don't really mean anything. And to be honest, I'm just super thankful I got into Amazon in the first place. If it wasn't for just knowing a couple friends of mine that had already had a bit of success, I probably would have never got into it. I might still be at uni, just kind of working on my degree, hoping to get a 9-to-5 job where I'm making, if I'm lucky, 50k a year for someone else. Taking that leap of faith to just put trust in myself and just make the business work, no matter what. I don't think at any point I've been like, I might get into it, I might make it work, I might put a little bit of effort into it. Like from the start, I've always been like, this is what I want to do. And no matter what it takes me, I'm going to make it work and I'm going to do it better than anyone else is doing it. And I think if you have that kind of motivation and drive towards something like this, it's entirely possible for you to replicate what I have done. Whether it be through Amazon FBA or whether it's from some whole other business entirely. But I think in particular though, Amazon FBA does have these huge benefits of the cashback, the Amex points, and the freedom to just do it from wherever you want. All I need is my laptop and a good credit card limit and I can make money from anywhere. So yeah, obviously I'm back in the UK now. My immediate focus for the rest of the year is just going to be on Q4. It's the most important time of the year to be an Amazon seller. You've got Black Friday and of course Christmas coming up. It's both an amazing buying opportunity with all the different sales that are on, but it's also the time of the year where you're almost guaranteed to do, 2 to 3 times more sales than any other quarter. So far in 2024, my Amazon FBA business has already generated me about £170,000 in profit, all from about £1.3 million worth of revenue. So in Q4, my profit target is to make 100 grand. It's a little bit high, to be honest. I'm not super confident I'll hit it, but I'm gonna damn well try. And even if I fall slightly short and make, 80 grand or 90 grand, I'm definitely not gonna be upset at the end of the day. My game plan for Q4 is just spend as heavy as possible, buy as much stock as possible. I'm gonna go through all of my aging inventory, assess any losers that I just need to get cleared, get gone, and then so I can put that money into more stock. My other primary focus for this quarter is, aside from my main Amazon business, is help out guys like you. I'm going to start putting out more YouTube videos, more content across all my social medias. And just really, I want to give you guys more of an insight into my own Amazon FBA business, as well as show you the kind of the advantages and the limits that come with this business model. If you do continuously dedicate yourself to kind of improving what you do and spending as much money on stock as possible, the money that you can make from Amazon is absolutely ridiculous. If you haven't already, make sure to hit that subscribe button. You want to keep up to date with the latest videos from me. I'm going to be dropping lots more tips, lots more information about Amazon and how exactly you can get started, as well as how you can improve your existing business. So yeah, drop a follow and hopefully you can also smash Q4 just like me. So that was how I managed to make about £47,000 in 2 months just from my Amazon FBA business whilst I traveled Asia. Now Amazon FBA is definitely not a get rich quick scheme. You're not going to get these sort of results overnight. You can't just sign up to Amazon and start making 100k in a month. It's just not going to happen. It will take you years to build up to that kind of level, as it has taken me years to build up to this level. But the positives you should take from this video is that absolutely anyone can do this. I was just a normal guy doing uni that got into Amazon, and over the past 2 years, I've managed to build this kind of business from it. If you dedicate yourself, master every aspect of the business, and make use of, VAs and other ways to outsource to increase the amount of time that you actually have to focus on the bits of the business that matter, you can definitely make a successful business out of it. So if you'd like my help to kind of help scale your existing Amazon business, or if you're completely new to it and want to know where to start, I offer a 6-month mentorship program. It consists of, one-to-one calls with me, group sessions, access to a leads channel. There's also a written guide and a video course, so you have just every resource available to you at your disposal. This program is just heavily focused on improving your sourcing, and it'll be all about my secret sourcing techniques, where I'll be showing you just completely unique and unknown ways that I guarantee you are not currently doing within your business. These methods are what manages to make me, 60 to 70% of my profit, alongside just more well-known stuff. And all of it is designed to just get a huge amount of leads in that are all high ROI and fast selling products, which will help you scale your profits even faster. So scan the QR code here or click the link in the video description and you can book a call in with me. I can tell you more about the program, what I can kind of offer you. And if it's something that you're interested in and you kind of meet the criteria of people that I want to take on, I'll be happy to have you. Hit the like button on this video if you enjoyed, and subscribe to my channel for more Amazon FBA content from me. I'll see you in the next one.